Wow, she's on brand even with her water bottle.
Wait, say water bottle again.
Water bottle.
Say it loud.
Water bottle!
Whatever else is on, pause it, 'cause you know it's time for Cousin Closet.
I specifically need coffee running through my veins right now. I need someone to come to my house and I need someone to poke a hole in my veins and distribute that sweet, sweet nectar.
I wish I could do that for you.
I need to maybe turn into a type A person instead of the type B person that I am. I can be type A, but it is for a short amount of time.
I can be type A if it's an emergency. I can be type A if nobody else is going to and there's an emergency. I can be type A if I am perfectly medicated, caffeinated.
Well slept.
Yeah, so sorry. I was just
Waiting for Bonzi. I can't help the fact that he barks.
Yeah, it's.
But you know what?
You have a
Good
kid.
news.
Okay.
He let me have sex in my room.
Was he there?
Bonzi was outside.
And he didn't try to come inside?
He just barked for a little bit.
I'm really, really glad.
I thought he was gonna try and break down the door.
You know what? He didn't, but he could have.
Totally.
He could have.
And I think that is progress.
Yeah, I think so too. Speaking of progress, we're in a better place this week in terms of us together.
Yeah. So sorry.
No,
I
it's
know
okay.
I dropped the ball.
Well, here's the thing. I've just been really reflecting and also studying, researching this week because of my Gemini moon. I have to know why things are the way that they are really in depth. And I obviously know that I'm autistic and ADHD and have known this my whole life and know my reactions to things and the emotional regulation or lack thereof. And also, I just have to sometimes be reminded scientifically that there is actually something going on in my brain neurologically that makes me show up the way that I do in all of the ways that I show up, which is something that I want to get into a little later, is an overhead quick view of what's going on in an autistic brain, autistic ADHD brain, when there is a seemingly small change that actually creates a meltdown.
You know what? That's actually
because that's exactly what happened.
Yes, and honestly, that is my morning. Not to make this about
morning.
me.
No. It's good. It's good for you to know that.
I'm really curious to unpack this because I feel like honestly, my last year has been so focused in trying to remain resilient, not because of choice, but because, well, actually, yeah, because I had no choice.
Totally. You're in survival mode.
Yeah. And so I feel like I've gotten actually a lot better at being able to experience change or turmoil and being able to be like, kind of just like laugh through it.
But again, I think that's also a product of being in survival mode is when you know you literally don't have, you can't afford
space or capacity.
You can't afford to risk the energy that would come from fully being able to process it.
Yeah. And I'll kind of go in and explain that because that makes actually, even as I'm like breaking this morning down, this makes a lot more sense. So for those of you that are new to the pod, I am about to be a craniosacral therapist. I'm building out my business. Until then, I am basically like trying to get people on my table for free to basically educate them and get them an understanding of craniosacral therapy. So I had a pretty big TikToker that's local to the San Diego area that does like a wellness series. And so I reached out to her and she was interested in getting on my table. And then we would do like a trade. So she'll do like kind of like a promotional video. So we go to a new beach in North County, which if you're not local, it is literally just north of like greater San Diego. There's a whole thing in San Diego, whether or not it's actually San Diego proper or not. Like people have really strong opinions about it. I don't consider myself a local, so I'm not going to even go into it.
So you don't get to have an opinion. And if you do, then you're going to get burned at the stake.
Totally. So I've got 4 more years to not have an opinion and then I'm a local. I had organized a beach session with her. And so I get to the beach. It's a new beach that I've done
a nude beach?
A ton of, no nude beach. We do have a nude beach. Kind of want to go. but
You should.
not this time. This is a fully clothed modality, so just context. I'm not asking anyone to get nude on the beach. So I get all set up. This is a new beach that I don't think I've ever been here, and she comes and I do my little introduction, get her on the table. I'm working for probably like 3 minutes, and all of a sudden, this patrol person comes up to me.
Get a real job.
I'm like looking at him and I'm trying to figure out because he's not addressing me, but he's close enough that he could be addressing me, but then he's not. So at this point, I'm like, I don't know what's about to happen. Then he starts capturing all this information and he's like, what's your business name? What do you have your license? So then I was like, okay, 1 second. Like I told the girl on my table. I go over there and I was like, actually, I'm not an established business yet. Like, can you tell me what's going on? And he was like, you need a permit here. And I said, oh, okay. I was like, I'm actually not from here. He's like, where'd you park? And so I like told him, he's like, yeah, there's signs everywhere telling you what's permitted and what's not. And I said, okay. I was like, I'm sorry. I missed that. And he's like, I'm going to have to write you a citation. And I was like, okay. I was like, is there any way that I can get a warning? Like, I was like, I'm literally not from here. And then the girl on the table was like, we're not even doing like a financial trade. Like there's nothing that's like, but because I had my cameras filming and then because I have like a letterboard that has like my Instagram and then it says like nervous system regulation through craniosacral. And then he goes, yeah, well, you're not getting paid now, but like you will get paid.
So you're telling me that if I'm a girl who grows up with big titties and ends up in sex work one day, that every time I went out with my titties out growing up, was breaking the law because one day someone was going to pay me to suck them? Same thing.
Crazy parallel, but I see your point. And yeah,
that's
it's wild work.
Annoying.
And
I would have been so mad.
He goes, yeah, I go, okay, well, can I just pay for a permit? Like I was like, how much? He's like, you're better off just paying the citation. And I said, how much is that? He's like, well, usually it's $300.
No.
I know. And he goes, but you guys are really nice and being compliant, so I can lower it down. But what's crazy is he starts educating me on the law. And then I ask a question and then he has the audacity to be like, well, you actually need to be the one that goes and researches that. Yeah.
There are so many levels to this that make me so mad. What I want to do is look in the eyes and say, get a real job.
No, literally. I just was like taken aback.
So many other
honestly,
things going on that need addressing in the world.
No, literally, because I had this interaction with, and I was telling someone, I was like, maybe I had this interaction yesterday to really ground me for this like ridiculousness today, because I walked by my local 7-Eleven yesterday and there was this transient woman that was bawling, and me and 2 other girls like immediately flocked to her and were just like, are you okay? What's happening? What's going on?
Yeah.
She's just bawling. Like I just was like, I can't walk by this and not do something. Yeah. So we sat with her for about like 30 to 40 minutes and like the girls like helped her find a shelter for today, and like we like bought her water and we're just talking to her, and like she had to escape her house because her partner was abusing her. Like it was so crazy, and she has no place to live. And it's like, you have these moments like that you're just like, I'm okay.
Everything's fine. Yeah.
I'm literally okay. So honestly, I was laughing at the session, and thankfully I was more so worried. I was like with the girl that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And she was also like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, even though this is a trade, like I should have done my due diligence and like figured it out. I was like, I've never done this before. And she was like, honestly, I live up the street. Like, let's
take it back to my place.
we can do a session up there. But the thing is like I had planned like my eating, my drinking, just my mental state to do this on the sand where I can kneel and like have good body mechanics. And it's also 9 a.m. so it's not hot. But by the time that we get to this like cliff that overlooks the ocean, the sun is literally like melting us. Did not bring my water bottle. I did not bring any like cushioning for my knees. This is like an hour session. I'm not even charging for this session. And somehow like I'm trying to regulate someone's nervous system and I'm in the whole $100.
100%. And honestly, this really is a perfect parallel to me last week. I completely understand.
But the thing is, that makes sense about the survival, because I think I was laughing because I do also think that that's a little bit of my joyous MO of being like, you know, like I feel like that is part of me. But I also feel like I knew I had to lean into that more because of the fact that I had no capacity. Like, what was I going to be like? Just be pissed and dysregulated, and then be like, no, I don't want to give you a set. You know what I mean? So like,
well, it's like
I
it's
really
not like
didn't
it was
have
me.
space or capacity.
If it was me on the table, you could have had that reaction and it would have been safe.
Totally.
But because this was like someone you were trying to impress and like peer to peer with, that I'm sure.
But then when I was on the table, I had to like regulate and lock in like times 10. I mean, I don't think it was my best session. And afterwards she was like, wow, I feel so relaxed, and like it was fine and it was great. But I was disappointed by that. All of that for nothing disrupted the quality of my work, which I have so much pride in. It was just so crazy. I'm like, you're telling me that we have like a patrol person that's getting mad at two girls having like a sweet like meeting and craniosacral session trade on the beach when no one is interfering with this other woman's person that literally had like a hairdresser like thrown at her head. Like, I'm like,
wait, I'm sorry.
I'm talking about the transient woman.
I was like, where did a hairdresser and wait.
I might have missed.
Do you mean a hair dryer?
What?
You said a hairdresser was thrown at her head. So then I'm picturing someone like throwing another human at somebody else. Then I'm like, was it the hair dryer that you stick your head in? That's like a microwave. And you never once mentioned that before. You never mentioned there was a hairdresser or dryer involved, and so you said that, and I'm like, so now there's a stylist on the beach also getting in trouble, but not. I'm tracking now.
No, I'm sorry. I'm trying to compare it to me interacting with this woman that she is homeless because her partner literally is abusive and threw something at her. You know what I mean? And no one's doing anything about that. But like, we are just on the beach. We had like there was like a surfer that walked up and he was like, did they just give you a ticket? And I was like, yeah. He got so upset and he was like, it's a fucking free country. And I was like, I know.
You're like, yeah, unless you're not a pedophile or a billionaire. Sorry. Thinking about the general government, and unfortunately, the roots are far too deep into society. Yeah, that all sounds like a nightmare, and do you want to know the science behind it? What's happening to us in those moments?
Yeah. Make me feel better, because I don't feel like I've fully come down from it. So I feel like I don't want to have a dysregulated day, and I'm going to take a shower after this and really like visualize just energy sloughing off of me. But it's also hard from like the POTS perspective too, because I'm like, sir,
so many factors.
I was like, I had a complete like plan that I knew my body was capable of. We were going to get this done. It was going to be good. And then because of the sunshine, I mean, I was like, I was getting tickles of beads of sweat. I have a new shorts tan line. Like, this was just not.
You didn't deserve any of this.
No. Thank you.
I'm really sorry that happened.
What's happening in my brain?
Okay. So, yeah, been thinking about this all week since my crash out, because unfortunately it did set the tone for my entire week, and that's not your fault. It is,
okay.
I mean, I'm not going to say it's not your fault because you didn't let me just start. People with autistic brains rely on like predictive models, right? The ability to predict what a situation's going to be like sensory wise, just in general, rely on that ability to predict. So for us, when there's a predictive error, it registers as a threat. It activates the amygdala the same way that it would activate if you were under like a real threat, basically.
Yeah. Which, if you have hypermobility or EDS, you have a larger amygdala.
That makes a lot of sense. And also it's like the hypersensitivity. Interesting.
So, and those overlap a lot, are comorbidities together.
Yes, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So normally in that moment when the amygdala is activated, it's like your prefrontal cortex should come in to like dampen the reaction, right? But like when you have ADHD, your prefrontal cortex struggles with regulating. It's almost like there's less circuitry than normal to be able to help you out when you're in that crisis. So it's like your amygdala's activated and then your prefrontal cortex isn't able to dampen the stimuli in the way that you would like it to, or that it maybe would in a neurotypical brain. There's also something called the I don't know if it's allo or allostatic, but basically the allostatic load is like everything going on behind the scenes that's like the day-to-day wear and tear. So if you are somebody who is autistic or neurodivergent and you have a more sensitive nervous system, usually your allostatic load is higher than normal. And
hence the nervous system dysregulation. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like when your battery is at 3% and then suddenly you're expected to do an update on the phone. It's the same kind of parallel happening when there's a predictive error and you're having that reaction. So then once you're past your threshold of what you're able to hold on to with that allostatic load, your reaction stops being a choice. The choice aspect goes away because your prefrontal cortex is at capacity already. And then this causes your limbic system to take over and put you into fight, flight, freeze, fawn, whatever it may be. So your body's literally reacting to this like it's an actual threat to your system, to your body, to your well-being.
What do you feel like yours is, the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn?
I think it really depends. Because I know in that situation, I was able to fight with you.
But because I feel like
because I felt safe.
Safer. Yeah.
But if I'm in a situation where I'm not safe, I'll tend to be more of like a fawn or a freeze, you know?
What's the difference between freeze and fawn? I feel like every time I read a description...
Freeze is what it sounds like, freeze. And fawn is when you start to give compliments and try to butter them up, and you turn to like, I'm going to give you all of the glory and the attention and the love. And
okay, I freeze.
Yeah. So I will sometimes be a freezer. I will sometimes be a fawner, and apparently a fighter, depending on what situation that I'm in and how comfortable I feel. When you are like at capacity and you're put into fight, flight, freeze, whatever, there's no like calming down at that point. The calm down doesn't work because the negotiation part of you is totally offline. So that's not even an option anymore.
Yeah. It's just like the one track thinking kind of.
Yeah. We go back to like the allostatic load and everything that's going on behind the scenes. I'm thinking about me last week. I hadn't had as much quality of sleep that I wanted, so my amygdala was already activated at that point. No breakfast, that's a whole other point. There was time pressure, so like my cortisol is already through the roof. I was in my follicular phase, which that's like a bigger part to this than I had realized before, because for me, when I think of my follicular phase, it is like the most finite, precious resource. And so if I'm also unexpectedly losing this window of feeling good, it's like, oh, these are higher stakes because my most precious resource has now been soiled and I can't come back from that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's also this element of like broken reciprocity. Like autistic ADHD people struggle with social mismatch and like the feeling of exclusion, and those activate like the physical pain circuit. So it's like when you're having that response of there's a social mismatch, or you're having RSD, rejection sensitivity dysphoria, which is very common and a symptom of ADHD, where you're hyper aware to the feeling of being rejected. This is activating again, like physical pain. So the like asymmetry in what's happened doesn't register as a disappointment, it registers as a wound. So that, on top of the fact that there's the one-track mind, right? It's called monotropism. So if there's a disruption in like one thing that is pretty surface level, that's doable, you know, manageable. But when you are experiencing this disruption in like a deep channel, like something that was holding a lot together, it feels really expensive energetically. And also, there's delayed interoception in terms of just recognizing what's going on in your body. So usually these factors that are building up the pressure, you're not as accustomed to or not as aware of. So that when the catalyst happens and you are sent into that fight or flight state, it feels even more heavy and ridiculous because then you're suddenly aware of everything that you weren't aware of before. And then there's another interesting part that's like almost like a second dysregulation cycle. That's the shame spiral, because it like activates a second limbic loop where it's like A lot of people who are high masking or neurodivergent growing up were conditioned to think that they are too much, and that there's almost an anticipatory shame response when it comes to anything and everything. I think this is common in religion as well.
Yeah,
And
I think
so
the spiraling aspect makes sense. It's like, it's not just about that one thing, a cute thing. Because then there's like shame about then how you reacted.
well, and the shame itself feels like a threat.
And then it almost feels like you could have shame about having shame.
Well, yeah, it's less
just- and
about
it's-
how I'm feeling and more about what has been activated for me. Because if you're already anticipating like a rejection response or a shame response based on how you have grown up or experiences that you've had in the past, that feeling after you've had your initial spike of everything, the recognition of that shame response just being natural, it's a threat response to you and the way you're reacting, not just the thing that activated you. And basically, what you see on the outside is the sum of like many, many, many physiological systems that are interacting with each other. And I just was thinking about how important that is for me to remember, because I still will have days where I'm like trying to trick myself into thinking that I am not neurodivergent or that I have a neurotypical brain or I can just
you
push
still
through
have access
or
to that mask, you know.
exactly. And I
I mean, you built
technically
that
do.
for years.
Yeah, I technically have access to the mask. And also, now that I have recognized how much I've been masking and have let that down, it costs so much more to remask than it ever has before because I'm aware of the difference. And it, again, implements this shame part of like, well, I have been this way one time or throughout my whole life. And now that I'm having the reaction that's almost confirming this too muchness that I learned growing up. Again, it's just like threat response after threat response. And I think that we expect this from children. And even at some point, their kids get to an age where it's like, you shouldn't be reacting this way. Like the reaction you're having is not proportionate to the stimulus. And also, a lot of the time, especially with neurodivergent brains, the stimulus wasn't the issue. It's the amount of energetic load you're carrying constantly to be able to go throughout the world in a hypersensitive body and with a hypersensitive nervous system. And therefore, these external stimuli create so much more impact, and the reaction happens without being able to control it because your nervous system is already reaching capacity way before somebody else's would, or because of things that might not affect somebody else's nervous system. That's why you don't just grow out of having meltdowns as an autistic adult. Maybe they change shapes or forms. Mine didn't used to end in a shame spiral. It would just kind of stop at the feeling that I was having. Now the shame spiral is a part of it for me, and my meltdowns can sometimes look like intense self-loathing, negative self-talk, like wanting to like physically hit myself in the head, or like it shows up in a way that, yeah, seems disproportionate to the stimulus that happened. And also, I need to remind myself that I am not a bad, terrible, embarrassing person for having the nervous system that I do that reacts to things the way that it does. Because none of that I couldn't have had a different reaction if I tried, you know?
Well, yeah. And I also think, Maddy, like, you have experienced, it's only been 4 years since you've experienced a loss, an unexpected loss, that for, I would imagine, a neurotypical person to still at this point in time be like almost still coming down from that.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
And I feel that. And sometimes we'll be like, I'm still getting back on my feet, and I'll shame spiral. But what I recognized is that, like, I wasn't just grieving when my dad died. This triggered, it's almost like this energy had been building my whole life with masking. Yeah. And then when it shifted, not only was I grieving and like the grief became prolonged and severe, I was also in autistic burnout. So I couldn't mask the way I was before, which also induced shame, but almost like completely turned the way I had handled stimulus throughout my life on its head because my coping mechanism was no longer available to me when I was fully in burnout. And I do find myself now still recognizing I am still getting back on my feet after having a huge life change that really changed everything for me, put everything into a different perspective. And I think part of that grief has been also grieving the me who died with my dad, which is the me who could and would mask over anything. And now when I recognize I'm masking, it hurts me more,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what's going on in these little brains of ours.
I was just thinking about how I would react as a kid versus now. I was like the definition of a bottler. Because I would be like, freeze, 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 explode. And now, it's interesting because I do feel like I think my nervous system is in the safest space that it's ever been in my life in 31 years. But I also am kind of realizing that there is an avoidance piece of, I don't know. Gosh, this is another thing. There's like a couple themes I feel like in my life right now where I'm like, I see two sides of things, and I keep kind of like going back and forth of what I believe,
About the two
because
extremes.
the two extremes, yes. Like, so for instance, with this, it's like, I want to be able to have this sense of resilience from a lens of like optimism and joyousness that I feel like is truly who I am inside.
Totally.
But then again, on the other side, I never want to dismiss my actual feelings
Totally.
and feel like I'm dramatic or shameful for feeling, even if temporary, like, oh, this morning was disappointing. That man
Yeah.
really fucking frustrated me. Like, he could have given me a warning. The lifeguard saw me. He could have given me a heads up. Like, there's just
Yeah, it
so many
just didn't
things that
have to
could
be
have,
that way.
yeah, like it didn't have to be that way. And I feel like I can feel like, ugh, like I woke up and like I literally have probably one of the biggest weeks of like networking and like building my business since really starting this kind of strategy, I guess, with getting my business up and going.
Yeah.
And so I think also too, there was that expectation very similarly to like last week, which is so funny, of being like,
Prediction wasn't aligned.
damn, and feeling like, well, did this just set my week up? Like, now I have other beach sessions that I'm like, oh, fuck, do I need to cancel those? Am I going to be able to be present on doing a session, or am I going to always be like scanning for another type of this situation to happen? You know what I mean?
Totally.
When I moved here, because I had such a negative, prior 6 months, or some would say 6
Several
years.
years. Yeah.
I feel like I was pretty avoidant of any of like the more like quote unquote negative emotions that I was feeling, because I didn't want to think or admit to myself any part of my decisions were inherently bad. And again, that black and white, man, I am really in a season of breaking down the religious constructs that have been so deeply ingrained in my brain that I didn't even know that they were there. Like, it honestly makes me like want to cry, because I feel like I'm like, wow, I did, I've always been someone that's like, I'm going to be myself, and I'm going to be like, just like, I've never really thought about what other people think of me. And I
Mm-hmm.
think because of I've had that general way of life and way of approaching things, I never identified as someone who has a lot of shame. But I very much, with like every decision, small or big in my life, I very much look at it from like a lens of right or wrong. Even the way that I'm approaching this, of like, wow, did I react to that correctly. You know what I mean? Like there's
No,
just no room for
totally.
like messiness. It's so annoying.
Well, and again, if you have a neurodivergent brain and you think monotropically, so you get this focus on one thing, of course we're going to live in the extremes. And when we're trying to mediate that or feel two extremes at the same time, there's this threat and fear of like, what do I focus on right now?
Yeah.
And most of the time that's not going to be the middle ground.
Yeah.
Because the middle ground is going to be quiet in the background.
Yeah.
So when there are these big things happening, yeah, we're going to start recognizing, I don't feel so good. I don't feel so good. I also think that when we're getting into a better state, like when we are in a better place with our nervous system, where you are feeling more consistently regulated and understanding what you need to feel regulated, you start to unearth kind of some other things. It's almost like, okay, I'm good to this tier, so now we're going to dig a little deeper. Do you know what I mean?
No, I I totally know what you mean. And I feel that on such a deep level. And I think, again, I don't know, part of me feels like, what? Okay, yeah, I had 6 months, 8 months of maybe quote unquote avoidance, just truly because of the fact that like I did so much. Like I It's actually funny. I was talking to the guy that I'm like kind of seeing right now, and he goes, "You did so much in a year." He
No,
goes, and then he
literally.
goes, "It's kind of scary."
No, it's so true. That's the thing is I saw a new therapist last week after I had my
Yeah.
crash out after we recorded and I
Mhm.
saw a new therapist, and it just reminded me that every time I like talk to someone new or a new professional or whatever, they're like, "Hey girly, you're going through a lot and you have been nonstop for years. Do you get that?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, but I
Like,
should
no,
be
like,
over it by now, right? Or like
yeah.
everyone should do this. But again,
Yeah.
no, you have had a lot of change in
Yeah.
your life.
So it makes sense that I just gave myself a break for 6 months, and then I know I shared on the pod last week that I am doing a lot of that unearthing, and then I also think that the unearthing is also coming to me as well. And that's getting it from both sides, all angles. It's tough work.
It's
Tough work.
And again, I do think that when you are in a situation where you're feeling fulfilled in a way you haven't in a while, like whether that's, oh, I have community now, or oh, I
Yeah.
like where I live, or oh, I'm in touch with my family, or oh, I'm
Yeah.
dating someone who makes me feel safe in a way I haven't
Yeah.
experienced before.
Mhm.
That is almost opportunity, especially I think when you're somebody like us where like we have to dig in. We have to know what's going on under the surface. It's built into our souls. Like we're never going to stop
Yeah.
trying to improve and understand ourselves. I think that when you are suddenly in a situation where you feel safer than you have and actually safe,
Mhm.
that's when the things start to creak through, and it's like big good, big bad happen same time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I also know that's going to be a clip, and it's going to be really fucking funny.
Is that what we're going to call the episode? Big good, big bad happen at same time?
Yes, please. Yeah. And you know what's so funny is that I definitely feel like I spoke this into existence because my word of the year was duality. So
say it with me now. Duality.
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 Honestly, I did better
that's
this
the
time.
thing. Is we've been in our 8th house perfection year, which is death
That's
and
what I was gonna
rebirth.
say.
So innately, we're going to see
Husband,
some
death,
things
better, 8th
die,
house.
and we're also going to see some things be reborn. It's like that alchemical Scorpio factor that is taking the shit and making it beautiful. It's the phoenix rising from the ashes, unfortunately. I'd like to just be risen for a while.
I'd like to like pretend
I'd like
I'm
to
on
cool the
vacation.
ashing for a while. Can we cool the ashing for a while?
Yeah.
The bursting into flames when you least expect it. I'm just kidding.
In
I don't
fact,
want to even say that
what's-
to the universe because it feels like I don't want to bastardize the energy.
What's also really funny is that literally, as we're speaking, I'm like, ooh, you know when you can feel your period starting?
I totally know that feeling, and I'm
Like
so
I just
sorry.
was like, oh. And you know what's really annoying? I don't know who the fuck did this to me. I'm on a 21-day cycle.
Maybe, perhaps, it will start to regulate and even out as you're working through different traumas that are coming up and also creating safe intimacy.
Do you have sex on your period?
If I want to. It's like
do you?
I'm
do
not
you
like
want
an
to? Do you
absolutely
typically
no.
want to?
It kind of depends, honestly, because
No,
like
that actually
sometimes
makes a
I
lot
can
of
be
sense.
sometimes I can be
Sometimes-
actually like pretty horny on my period. I think it
I don't
depends
think
on the
people
level
talk
of
about
pain I'm
that.
in, and also if I'm crampy, orgasm is the best way for me to immediately
Oh.
turn that off.
Oh, actually, that's a good way because when you said when I'm crampy, I said get away from me, but
Yeah,
that's a different approach than I was thinking.
totally.
My instinct, I don't think would be to put a penis inside me if I was crampy.
Well, yeah, but again, I think that there are other ways of having sex than just putting a penis inside of you. I chose not to have that for a long time. You know what? You
did.
can still be
Says
happy.
Wooch Rooney.
There was one thing I was gonna say. I can't remember. All I know is that I had a really painful ovulation last week, and that was really upsetting because I wanted to
Question.
feel at my best, and I wasn't.
What side do you think you have endo?
You know, this is something I've been wondering since you texted our siblings about it, and we were chatting.
Yeah.
I'm not sure because usually each month I feel it, like the ovulation shifting, and it's still painful. My
You could
gut,
have it on both.
I think I might have it on both. I've been having a lot of left side nerve pain this year, and I'm wondering if it's more heavily, like if my left side is more heavily affected than my right. I don't know because, again, I haven't had the surgery yet, so I don't really know what we're working with internally, but I think it fluctuates.
Do you think we could get you and Lindsay in with the surgery with Dr. Shanti, who we had surgery with, and we could do it could be like a sister discount where you're both in the same room, operating room. They just jump from uteri to uteri and just you know?
Yeah, like almost like how when Megan gets a breast reduction, you want to be there to catch the excess.
Do I ever? Although I'm in my luteal phase, so I always feel
So
like
you're getting chunkier?
Yeah,
I mean, in your
thanks.
boobies? I didn't mean... I meant your boobies getting chunkier. Speaking of which...
I do feel like I get a systemic, like, swollen. Like, I can see it in my face.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see it, like, almost even, like, in my arms and shoulders. Well, I also think that I might have lipedema, and that tracks with...
Add it to the list, girl.
No. I have added it to the list.
Someone's like, what is your diagnosis? And you're like, one moment.
Pulls out a scroll.
Ra-ta-ta-ta. Introducing my diagnoses in alphabetical order because there are enough.
Next to my allergens.
Yeah,
I've got 2 scrolls.
Yeah. Or, yeah. We should bring scrolls back. If you think about it, it's way more convenient than a stack of papers.
You're so right.
But
so
also, like, right.
No,
it is a lot of arm strength to hold
say
it.
You need say you need a detail on the very end. What do you got to do? You got to like find someone and say, hold this end, and then I'm gonna run a mile this way, and then you're like,
and then you get to the end, and you're
like endo.
Oh, actually, it wasn't there.
Totally.
I thought I wrote it down, but I didn't. And then you're mad and you're dysregulated, and then you burn the list and you have to write a new one. Okay, speaking of scrolls, I am watching for the first time Game of Thrones. I never have before.
Oh, I've never seen it.
Obviously, I knew it was going to be incredible because it's one of the most critically acclaimed shows and people be talking about it and have for years. So obviously, I am very far behind, but it is so good and devastating and real, like the way they show the zoality of these characters and why they are the way they are, or it's just so fascinating.
Do you think I would like it? You know me.
So I think it would take you, the first season would be slow for you because there's a lot of world building. But it has really interesting characters, really interesting family dynamics. It's really well done. It is like gory, but I just cover my eyes sometimes if I have to. Okay. Yeah, so I know I'm like 100 years behind on this, but Game of Thrones has been rocking my world lately, and it's kind of the only thing I can think about. And there have been many cannons in my dream. Cannons and
Like canon events or like literal
No.
cannons?
like literal cannons and war
Oh.
and arrows.
I was just going to make a sad joke and say I've been having a lot of canon events.
Yeah. What kind of battle weapon do you think you represent and emulate? Let me give you some examples. A sword, a dagger, a mace, a trident, a cannon, a bow and arrow, a crossbow.
What's the fucking difference between a bow and arrow and a crossbow?
A bow and arrow is like the bow is bow shaped, right? And you put the arrow at the front and you pull it back so that you pull the string back and shoot it. A crossbow is basically like picture a stick with the bow then attached to it, and you crank it back to like have it loaded in your arms, so you're shooting it more like you would shoot a gun. And it's like loaded. Click. So
My first thought was bow and arrow for myself because
Sagittarius
it's-
rising.
well, no, because I think it's unexpected. Like I feel like when I am in battle with someone, I think I would be underestimated.
You're like, let me shoot you from 600 miles away. You're not going to see this coming, but I'm going to get you through the heart.
Yeah, and then I feel like it's like underestimated, but like goes in for the kill type energy.
No, totally. I think so too.
Could you see
'cause-
that?
Well, my first thought was also bow and arrow for me, and I think again we're both Sagittarius rising. Sagittarius is the archer, so it
We
makes
also
sense.
we also like a little finesse.
And what's a bow and arrow if not finesse? You've seen
Like,
the
I
feathers
don't-
on the end of that arrow? That's
I was
finesse.
gonna say, like, I feel like I could bedazzle that, you know?
You could bedazzle it. It'd get bloody.
Yeah, but blood is red, and that's
Your power
beautiful.
color.
And it is my power color.
Becomes a serial killer because red's your power color. So
I'm like, I need more of this.
I also think though that I could see myself also being a sword.
Yeah,
I don't.
but I want to hear more of this.
Well, you know, it's
It's
tough.
tough.
It's tough to know what it would be. I don't think I'm a cannon.
But
And
why a sword? Is my
There's something about a sword that is like really. It's okay. To me, a sword can be used in an art form, or it can be used to absolutely slice someone's head off. You know?
duality.
Zoality. A sword is extremely sharp, but it's also like beautiful and powerful.
Yeah.
It's strong. It's strong. It's pointy. But then I'm also thinking about this and I'm like, but what about a mace? A spiky ball on a chain that you swing around, that feels very me.
That feels way more you.
So I think actually I might be a mace. And
Yeah.
you're a bow and arrow. And together, we're going to burn this place to the ground. Are you a
Yeah.
flaming arrow or just a normal arrow?
Ooh, flaming.
Yeah, I think so too. She's a flaming arrow, which something I've been thinking about flaming arrows, and then we can get into our outfits.
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking on this show, when you shoot a flaming arrow in the dark, they see exactly where the arrow is coming from and you can dodge it easier. So I'm like, that seems...
I also feel like, am I naive to think like, how does the wind? I know there's probably like some type of
I think there's
flammable
something...
thing, but like,
Yeah.
I just would think that the air would
Blow it out.
blow that out.
Seems like there's got to be some, you know, like how torches, they put stuff on torches too.
Yeah.
It's got to be something like that, maybe.
Okay.
So,
hey, do
yeah.
you want to get into your outfit
Yeah,
for
let's
this
do it.
week? And thanks for showing up.
I went over to my sister's house this morning and she said, "What's the theme?" And I said, "Pink." And she said, "Are you going to show up in black?" And I said, "No," because I don't want to do to her what she did to me. No, but also I was like, no, I
actually have an outfit.
Well, I have an outfit, and also I just was like, I don't.
Can I see your nipples right now?
No, I'm wearing a bra. Well, I don't know. The bra is also see-through.
Yeah,
There's
it
hearts
fits.
on the bra, though, so you
Oh.
might be seeing hearts. So basically, here's what I'm wearing. I had this necklace on top that is a kind of like brass, silvery brass, big chunky cross with pink.
It's like
jewels.
resin. It
It's
looks
not resin.
It's not?
No, it's metal.
Oh.
It's metal. It has all these beautiful engravings on it. Honestly, it's like a really
Can you hold it up? Oh, yeah. Wow, that looks completely different.
yeah. So it's got it's got these turquoise and pink beads. I got this from I think a garage from a garage sale or estate sale at some point.
Garage.
It is broken and did just fall off of me, so I'm not going to
Yeah.
put it back on, but that was on.
And I liked it. I do feel like it tied things together.
Thank you. I'm wearing a pink slip that has different colored flowers on it. It's see-through sheer. I'm wearing a pink bra underneath it that has little hearts all over it. And my pink embroidered sparkly purse with flowers on it, and my white crisscross
You should
tie
go
up
out
heels.
for a date in that. That's so cute.
You can see my ass.
Listen, did you see my ass
Yeah, I
the other
did.
day
I did, but
when I went
I'll-
out?
you know what? I could totally wear this out, and I also have not been feeling really like I want to go out as much as I want to go in
Mm.
and
Yeah, I
stay
get it.
there. And that's my outfit. I did wash my hair today. Oh, and I also have really good pink eyeshadow on. I'm gonna just
It is
bring
so
it to
good.
the.
And I forgot that I had pink eyeshadow. It's very cute. I feel like you need to wear that more often. It looks cute.
I didn't think that pink was really my color, and I don't know for sure that it is or isn't, but I'm
No,
having fun, and I have less pink clothes than I would expect for somebody who is me.
I think the pink really goes well with your like the warmth of your hair now.
Thank you.
I
Yeah.
think without the copper, I think it would look different, but I think it's like it becomes this like monochromatic look, which I
You're like every time you wore pink in the past, you were fugly, but now I think it works.
But now
okay.
you look good.
Thank you. And that's the tea. What's your outfit, girl?
So I'm really not wearing a whole lot because if I'm being honest, I got home and
Home
So-
from the
the
massage.
craniosacral therapy,
that went
which
well-
also
didn't
you
go
have to
well.
realize that like I lugged my table to the beach and then I had to lug it back to my car. Then I had to drive to a second spot. Then I had to lug my table to the second spot. Then I had to lug my table back. Like it just, again, was
I would have
not.
crashed my car
and,
on
like,
purpose.
What?
I would have crashed my car on purpose.
Yeah, I don't want to afford that right now, so
Totally.
I didn't.
Mhm.
But I got home, I had to take Buns on a walk, and so I got back here and I was like, I was gonna put on some pink pants, and then I realized I literally can't wear pants right now. I will actually have like a
panic attack?
I have a panic attack, yeah.
Yeah. So you're wearing a shirt.
I am just wearing a shirt, basically. This is the shirt that I wore. I don't think I've debuted her on this. I don't think I've worn it.
Give us a little description.
It has straps, but I turned it into a strapless little number. It's basically kind of ruched, ruffled. What is that? Chiffon with some like wiring that makes it so it's kind of like like I don't even know, like wavy, but it's multi-layered, and then it's kind of a crop top. And then just for consistency, pink undies because
Cutie.
I felt like I needed to be on brand with my bottoms after last week. And then you can't really tell, but I am wearing some pink lipstick that has worn off and then a little extra pink blush. It's crazy because I don't know if you feel like this, but do you ever leave the pod looking like a clown? Because
Have I ever left the pod looking like a clown? Huh. Interesting that you would ask me such a thing.
so
Go on.
for the pod, I put on so much more blush and like coloring
So
so
you
that it
show
gets
up.
picked up on the camera. And then every single time I just have to wash it all off. Even if it's like, I'm not wearing like from the pod, this looks like I could just wear it out and about and like not
Yeah, same.
think twice. But I look like a clown in real life and I don't like
Totally.
that about. So that's hard.
Well, hey.
At least I don't.
At least Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry.
What? No,
So
you don't have nothing to,
that's it.
you don't got
That's all
nothing
I'm
to be sorry about.
wearing. What's our word for
Next week?
next week?
Medieval. Because we were going to do that once and you didn't want it. And so I changed it. And
Now
I really
deserve
want
it.
it. And I swear to G, if you show up and you're not in a full
Swear
suit
to
of
G?
armor.
And I'm not in a what?
Full suit of armor. You're done.
I don't know why I pictured myself, because I don't want to go rent a whole suit of armor. I literally pictured myself just wrapping myself in tinfoil.
That works too. I wish you wouldn't have told me and shown up that way.
No, that would have been way too hot. I could be like a sexy tinfoil. Listen, I've got some ideas. I'll
Sexy
come.
Tin Man.
Sexy tin man ready for battle.
You're like, ouch, how'd they cut me through the tinfoil? Ow. Yeah, that's what it is. Medieval.
Oh.
So you better start plucking your hairline. And showing up
Okay.
and surround yourself with rats so that you can show up with the bubonic plague and we're gonna be good.
Perfect. That is the bare minimum that you accept.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Well, I love you, and
love you
I'm so
too.
glad that we could make amends.
We made amends. Yeah, we did. I gotta go clean the mold out of my car. Don't ask. We'll talk next week about it.
Perfect. I might have a really funny story.
Well, don't forget it or else.
Cousins, we love you.
We love you. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
See you next
Until
week.
next time. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, I gotta go pee.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.